Okay. Yeah. Yes, Rixa.
Yeah.
There will be okay, start from here. Ferdinand.
Your screen isn't shared.
Yes?
I can't see the screen.
You can't see. Okay, I haven't shared. Sorry. Okay, start from here. Yes.
Ferdinand spies and arranges for him to deliver her jewelry to Antonio at his hiding place in Ancona.
Yeah.
He will join them later while pretending to make a pilgrimage to a nearby town. The
Hmm.
cardinal hears of the plan and instructs Basola to banish the two lovers and send soldiers to capture them. Antonio escapes with their eldest son, but the Duchess, her maid, and her two younger children are returned to Malfi and die at the hands of Basola's executioners, who are under Ferdinand's orders. This experience leads Basola to turn against the brothers, and he decides to take up the cause of revenge for the Duchess of Malfi.
Hmm.
Um,
Yes.
The cardinal confesses his part in the killing.
Just a minute. Yes.
The cardinal confesses his part in the killing of the Duchess to his mistress Julia, then murders her with a poisoned Bible.
Hmm.
Basola overhears the cardinal plotting to kill them, so he visits the darkened chapel to kill the cardinal at his prayers.
Hmm.
Instead, he mistakenly kills Antonio, who has just returned to Malfi, to attempt a reconciliation with the cardinal.
Hmm.
Basola then stabs the cardinal, who dies. In
Hmm.
the brawl that follows, Ferdinand and Basola stab each other to death.
Yes. Okay, complete it till the conclusion, like till here. Yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
Antonio's eldest son by the Duchess appears in the final scene and takes his place as the heir to the Malfi fortune.
Hmm.
The son's decision is in spite of his father's explicit wish that he fly the prince.
Hmm.
Corrupt and increasingly deadly environment.
Yes.
The conclusion is controversial for some readers because they find reason to believe the inheriting son is not the rightful heir to the Duchess.
Hmm.
The play briefly mentions a son who is the product of her first marriage and would therefore have a stronger claim to the Duchy. Other scholars believe the mention of a prior son is just a careless error in the text.
Okay. So this was the synopsis. This was the overall review of the whole drama. Okay. I started to read, I give it, I said you to read this text because, last time we discussed this. So that's why I said you to read it so that um, you should know, and this will be a kind of repetition for you, right? And I think that you will be able to understand this passage which you have read now, right? Because,
Yes.
yes, you understand this thing because this is what we discussed in our last lecture. So anything you want to ask from this passage which you read? Yes.
Mm,
Is any confusion in this passage which you read?
no.
No. Okay. So now we are moving ahead. Now there is plot. Okay. In the plot, we are going to discuss the X one by one, like Act 1, Act 2. Okay. Now the Act 1, the Duchess Palace in Malfi. Antonio and Delio are discussing the former's return from France. Uh, Antonio, he was in France. He has returned from France. Now they are discussing his visit, the Antonio's visit of France. So Delio was asking questions from Antonio, and Antonio was replying, and they were comparing. There was, they were discussing something about the courts, how the courts are run in France and in Italy. So, and they were comparing the differences in both. So Antonio and Delio are discussing the former's return from France and discussing how the French king runs his court, comparing it to an easily poisoned fountain, right? Okay. Now this thing, comparing to it an easily poisoned fountain. I think you must have read this in the drama. You are reading the drama.
Yes.
Yes. So they were, when they were discussing, so the Antonio, he was telling him, and he was comparing the way uh, the the French king was running his, you can call it his government, and it was, he was comparing, it was like poisoned fountain, like how that whole system can be made corrupt, or can be destroyed, or and this whole thing, this whole thing I'm going to tell you in, when we are going to read the passage. So this I'm going to define you there, like how he was saying and how he was comparing the whole system with the poison fountain, right? So they are interrupted by the entry of Basola and the cardinal. Antonio and Delio told their sorry, Antonio and Delio hold a conversation, stepping to the background to watch as Basola angrily tries to gain the cardinal's pardon. Now, speaking of the time he has spent in the galleys in penal servitude and in the service of the cardinal, Basola declares that he is surely done with service. But the cardinal is not interested in Busola's new merit and takes his leave. Busola compares himself to Tantalus, never able to acquire the thing he most desires. Like he compares himself to Tantalus. This I'm going to define you. Never able to acquire the things he most desires, like an injured soldier who can only depend on his crutches uh, for support of any kind. When he leaves, Antonio and Delio comment on his past offense and how he will surely come to uh, no good if he is kept in neglect. And then Ferdinand comes into the palace, talking to his courtiers about a tournament that Antonio has just won. And the cardinal, duchess, and Cariola enter to speak with Ferdinand. Antonio and Delio have a moment to themselves to discuss the cardinal's character, right? And then he's found to be a very dishonest, disagreeable person, as is his brother, Ferdinand. Only the sister, the Duchess, earns the approval of everyone, a very pleasant and gracious woman. After the two gentlemen leave, Ferdinand petitions his sister to make Basola the manager of her horses. When everyone else leaves, Ferdinand and Cardinal reveal that it is because Basola is right. It is because Basola is to spy on their sister. They were just hiring Basola to spy on their sister. So they gave Basola the duty of taking care of Duchess horses. When Basola is brought in and made aware of this plan, he at first refuses, but ultimately is given no choice. The cardinal and Ferdinand then turn their attention to their sister, urging her not to marry again. Now that she is a widow, going so far as to threaten her with death, right? In Ferdinand's case. So Ferdinand was just, they were going to extend that they were threatening her, threatening the Duchess that they can even, kill her if she is going to do this thing. She refuses to be bullied, and once her brothers are out of sight, she proposes to Antonio by giving him her wedding ring. Having Cariola, the Duchess mad, is the witness, This private ceremony is legally binding, and the Duchess and Antonio become husband and wife, right? So this was all which you saw in the very first act. There are three scenes in the first act, so this all takes place in the first act. How much have you read the book? Where have you reached? How many?
I read the,
Yeah.
I was reading the first act, but then it was the same day we had the lesson, and I was saying that I didn't understand it because I didn't know the characters yet.
On which act are you now?
I started Act 2.
Better, your voice is not coming. There's a kind of not maybe your connection problem or something like.
I said I started Act 2.
Act 2, right? Okay. Are you able to understand Act 1 now? Like whatever
Yes.
you read in the book? Okay. Okay. So tomorrow, right, we are going to complete these acts, and then we are going to we'll also we both together here read the drama. Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. Okay. So there are few minutes left. If any question you want to ask in this, whatever we have covered, you can ask.
No, I don't have any.
No, any question?
No.
Okay. Did you understand everything, whatever we have covered today?
Yes.
Okay. All right.